Hi, my name is Katie Stempinski. My project so far this semester was to go to Tech 2015, which is a convention highlighting a school's technology to increase funding in Springfield, Illinois. My goal to be eligible to go to this convention was to teach teachers how to use the available technology here at Hayworth better. I can see how this will benefit Hayworth by growing our teachers and therefore growing the students' education and how we are taught. I worked with Cade Walters, Jonah Campbell, and Chris Morris. First, I had to recruit them because I knew I couldn't master all of the technology here at Hayworth by myself. Then, I held a meeting. Here at this meeting, I assigned everybody their assignments of what they would work on. I worked on Smartboards. Chris worked on Chromebooks and Google Tools. Jonah worked with phones. And Cade worked on the school website. This is very important because with all of them being masters at what they were assigned, teachers will automatically be more improved rather than having a mediocre amount of knowledge for each of them. I continued to hold meetings so that everyone in my team would stay on track and so that we could eventually be completed with everything by the time that the application to go to Tech 2015 is due. Personally, after this, I began to seek out some potential teachers who I could work with. These were just teachers who have Smartboards. I then determined how they were being used to see if I could sway them from what they were previously using. I found that Miss Campbell, Mr. Mortensen, Senora Moore, Miss Updegraff, Mr. Martin, Mr. Klessett, Mr. Alexander, and Miss Sadalek all have Smartboards, but I personally went after Senora Moore because I feel like Spanish has a lot of room to be used with a Smartboard. After I did this, I had to research some effective practices so I could become a master myself at Smartboards. I used many websites that would lend me to improve my own Smartboard knowledge that I could put into the presentation that I was going to give them. I learned from a professional and Smart themselves in 2 videos. After I felt like I had enough knowledge, I began to create my own presentation. I'm now going to give my presentation like I was talking to a teacher. Hi teachers, welcome. Please sign in over here with the Smartboard pens and then we'll get started. As an introduction, I want to show you some things a Smartboard can do. First, the simple. You can erase to reveal. You can either do it in the color ink that you use, like I did for the first one, or in the color backgrounds that I use for 2 and 3. The next one is using the magic marker. The magic marker is an amazing tool. For this, some of the things it can do is it erases. So if you would like to do a countdown, this especially works with younger students in order to say, get back to your seats, or you have this long to talk. Another thing it can do is if you draw a circle or an oval, it turns into a spotlight. Finally, another thing that a Smartboard can do is it has a gallery feature, and it's over here. The gallery has many tools that you can use and many pictures and pre-made files. As you can see, you have a 10-sided dice, an abacus, if you would use that in any case. There's stuff for all different subjects. If you continue to look through here, like if in the geography section, you have a worldwide British Isles clip. You also have different maps that are readily available, so you don't have to Google it first or find it through another search engine. At the end of this lesson today, these are some things that I want to make sure you know how to do. Number 1, know what an interactive, effective practice is and describe its pros and cons. Number 2, successfully analyze your classroom to determine your level of Smartboard skill and proper usage. And for number 3, plan a lesson effectively. You're using effectively your Smartboard based on your findings. All right, moving on. We're going to continue on with our introduction by having you do a pretest. Through this, I want to show you another cool feature of the Smartboard, which is the dual screen. You go there through the view and then to dual page display. Here you can just look at two screens at the same time. Another thing that this introduction pretest is going to teach you is how to be interactive with some of the other teachers and collaborative with them as well. So at this point, I would have teachers get into groups and come up and fill out these two screens. They would click on what they believe that their level of expertise is, and then brainstorm together what is effective Smartboard practice and write it here. Then they would come down and figure out the pros and cons, and we would all discuss why we have interactive lessons. One idea that you can do regarding the gallery is to put your objectives in these little balloons. And so once you have completed your objective for the day, you can just pop it. And so teachers and students both know when they completed the objective and how it was applied. Moving on, I exited out of the dual screen and went back to single screen. So now let's look at immediate application. One way you can improve your own lessons is just by taking somebody else's. At smartexchange.com, which is actually provided by the people who created the Smartboard, they created a website so that teachers could share their lessons. So you can take them, download them. All you have to do is create a free account. You can also upload your own onto here. You can search, and so if I wanted to search for Spanish, it would immediately pull up all of the Spanish ones. Another feature of the Smartboard and of Smart Notebook is that you can implement the actual web browser instead of having to switch over to a pre-opened one. And if you don't want to create your own lesson or you didn't find one, make it your own. In order to do this, there's 5 steps. 1, you need to show the example of or explain the problem. Next, you decide your objectives based on the standards. Number 3, you show how to solve the problem. Number 4, allow your students to complete trial and error, and then make sure they can perform mastery. I have also created a example lesson, and this is for a Spanish class. First, I want to show the problem, which is to translate. The students will be completing this later in the lesson. Now, I want to show you the objectives. First, they will be able to recite 5 new words with correct spelling, and then they will correctly conjugate in the present tense. Another feature of the Smartboard is called this little sheet. It's right up here in the corner, and it is called the screen shade. So you can use this for if they were taking notes. You would say number 1, gozar, and pull it down, and the students could see that it means to enjoy. And continue doing that for all of the words. Next, we allow trial and error. This is a game that is in the gallery, and all you have to do is you click edit, and you enter in all the words. And then the students can come up to the board and play this game. Click start, and they see the word is gozar, and so they need to spell it, being to enjoy. and they click next, and they will go through all 5 words. Finally, you can perform mastery, and you can also do this by collaboration throughout the classroom. Have the students do this by themselves, then do it with a pair and compare the answers, and then as a teacher you can call up students so that they can write down their answers, and then you can all discuss it as a class. So now, teachers, it's your turn, and to complete the objective, plan a lesson effectively using your Smartboard knowledge based on your findings. In order to create a well-off Smartboard lesson for teachers, it requires some self-reflection to figure out your own weak spots in teaching or in technology. And next, make sure that teachers, you take it one thing at a time. Putting everything into one lesson is going to stress you out, and it's going to be overwhelming. So one thing at a time, like putting in balloons or putting in a game, will eventually pay off in the end. Finally, when you're creating your own, show an example of or explain the problem, decide your objectives based on the standards, show how to solve the problem, allow trial and error, and finally perform mastery. Some other tips are to calibrate your board every day and to clean your Smartboard using the alcohol-free window cleaner. In conclusion, this semester I recruited, I held a meeting, I continued to hold the meetings, I assigned assignments to my members, I looked for potential teachers to work with and ended up with Senora Moore. I created a presentation, and I created a sample presentation so that we will eventually have the knowledge and the tools to go to Tech 2015.